Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not to Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season premiere of The Walking Dead. A great season premiere. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we have that opening where they're basically getting those like MRE, those rations, trying not to wake up the dead. And it kind of goes decently smoothly. I do love Carol kind of giving Maggie the look like, should I go for the gun? It's like, no, don't jinx it. We might wake them up. They're asleep. It's so interesting because, I guess, after a while when there's, no sound and just all they have is themselves, that eventually they just go dormant. Walkers. I think we've seen instances of them going dormant, but it's just so interesting because that is the point of them, that they are this relentless thing, but to see just so many of them dormant. But I guess it's when you go without food for so long and there's no sounds nearby and you just kind of go into a dormant state. But they were able to get a lot of supplies out. Then it came down to that bag. I was like, oh boy. Luckily, Daryl was able to grab it, but some blood drip sets everything in motion. Luckily, they were able to get out with quite a bit of food, but by the time they get back, doesn't matter, because I love it's people are fighting over food, but then hard cut to Gabriel literally being first it's there's enough food for everyone. Hard cut to him being there's not enough food. This food's going to last us maybe a week, even if we include with what we brought, because they ended up getting probably not all of it, but I'd say they might have gotten all of it. They definitely got a good chunk of what was there. But some people from the previous crew that Maggie was with, some of them ended up surviving, and they found their way here because they knew, if Maggie did survive, this would be where she is. But especially with the fact is that there are two whole communities added to Alexandria. There's not enough to go around. That's why they even less food, or they don't have the wall to protect them. They got to repair that, but they don't have the supplies necessary. Plus, people are hungry, so things are kind of falling apart on multiple fronts. They can't cook anything. They can't grow anything to cook, so they're kind of screwed on many different fronts. But the only way they'll find food is at a place called, what was it, the Meridian? Is that what she called it? What Maggie called it. And it's the place that they were before, but the group that attacked her, the survivors are people who were away at the time. They were leading a horde away. But at the same time, Maggie and them heard the screams and everything. So by the time they came back, all their people had been slaughtered. But for her, it's the person that her and Daryl ran into, it's if he was out here by himself, that means there can't be that many of them left, which is that's a pretty big assumption to make. He could have been I guess it's right, why would you send one scout out? Why not kind of see a team? But it's not like they haven't sent people out by themselves, one or two. So, but it's still why would he come out by himself? And at least someone else should be with them. So they might not have the numbers necessary. So for her, it's this might be our opportunity to strike, wipe them out, because I got some of my best fighters here and I'm hoping some of you will fight, but everyone else has got reservations, because it's this could easily be a bad situation of walking into something that is a suicidal mission. But Daryl signs up for it, and so does Gabriel, which I love. Rosita's shooting him out those eyes at him what the hell are you doing? And just kind of well, this is their best chance, because it's if they don't get the food, these people are going to starve out anyway. So it's we got to take our chance while we have it. That is the whole interesting thing of right. It is a personal vendetta for Maggie, but it is a means of making sure everyone survives. Because as she says, it's my son is here, there are children here, so I've got skin in the game here. So it's it's not this is just a revenge thing. It is about survival. So they had to bring Negan along because he knows the maps and stuff well, and so he's kind of reversed me maybe we shouldn't, maybe we should bunker down. And it's you don't get a vote, asshole. And it's because they are all aware, they know Maggie's story. They were with her long enough to know her story about who Negan is and everything. The moment they came to, so is that the guy? And it's yeah. So things are still obviously awkward on that front. But then the moment Daryl's the one that kind of suggested, it's all right, fine, we'll kind of settle down. But then they decide to go through the subway system of okay, follow the tracks. And Negan's I don't know. He's Daryl, can I talk to you? He's what are we, friends or something? No. And then as literally everyone passes him, shoulder checks him, and it's okay, cool, I see how things kind of run here. So they end up going further down and end up finding all these dead bodies wrapped in plastic. And Maggie's immediately like, right, these people weren't killed by the people that attacked us. These are the people who, these have got to be the people who died before the fall. And I'm like, okay, but if that's, I was like, but even Negan's like, are you sure? And she's like, what? Are you sure that these bodies aren't, like, this pile isn't still being added to today, that that this isn't something else, that all these people were associated with the fall? Doesn't really answer him, keeps moving, but it's like the fact is of all these like people wrapped in plastic, but I guess it makes sense because during the fall, like, you would get rid of these bodies because it's like, right, you don't know. Because especially because like some of them were like one of them in particular didn't, I think maybe all of them didn't make any sound because they were decapitated. So like, or nearly decapitated. So like their throats were slit so deeply that they can't make any sound. So the question then becomes like, well, was this like someone's was it the city's measure to try and because maybe this was early days after the fall, they didn't know what everything was. So this was their way of kind of dealing with the sick. They just straight up killed them and then wrapped them up and tossed them. It's like, yeah, put them into plastic because we don't know how this whole, once again, early days, but it could still be this pile could be still being added to. So as we're going along, let's kill some people. One of the younger ones of the group almost got, and then Negan saved him, and it's like, okay, everyone keep your eyes out peeled. And like Negan's like, okay, Maggie, so we're just supposed to keep our eyes peeled because it's like, I'm tired of like no one listening to me because he tried to warn, like, you see these marks on the wall, like these are from water levels, meaning that this place frequently floods enough that there's like markings left over from it because it floods so often. But no one wanted to listen to him. And so Negan basically puts it out there. You almost got that kid killed. Daryl's like, you don't give a shit about that. He's like, no, she doesn't care. He's like, the fact of the matter is, he's like, I'm not getting it twisted. I know why I'm here. It's like, you know, she brought me along because initially he's like, I'm going to leave. And then like, see how Thomas Howe's character wants to leave. And so it's that other kid wants to leave. And it's like, I love him being like, yeah, he's a dick, but Negan's right. Like, the fact of the matter is, we don't know what's ahead and everything. And even saying that, like, the reason why Maggie brought me along is because, I'm not supposed to make it back. Some shape or form, like, she'll make it happen, even if she has to do it herself. I'm not coming back. Like, this is supposed to be a mission I'm supposed to die on. And it's like, yeah, like, and then at first he's looking at Daryl, and Gabriel's like, yeah, I thought you guys were in on it. But looking at like, you didn't know. None of you knew that that's what she had planned. You all want to put your lives in her hand. I understand that, fine. But the fact is, her head's not in the game because I'm in her head living rent-free. I even love, like, Home Dude tried to step to him and was like, oh yeah, before I put a sock in your mouth or something like that. And Negan's like, then if you go right ahead if you want to, get on your tippy toes and try. I'm like, yeah, oh, you're a bastard. Once again, it's just because I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan so much. He's such a scumbag as Negan. Like I said, just because it's such a polar opposite. Like, yeah, Papa Winchester had his, rough patches, but more so than others. But still, it's just like Negan is just such a like scummy, terrible person because he's always very like looking out for himself. So it's like, yeah, don't get it twisted. I don't care about these people. I care about my life. He's like, I'm not, he's like, right, you want to handle this? Like, let's not wait, Maggie. Let's go ahead and end this. I'm not going to let you drag this out and gotta torture me until, like, I die like a dog in the mud, like Glenn. And then, like, it all kind of comes full circle because who was the one that smacked him? Daryl. That's why Glenn ended up getting killed because Daryl came and whacked. It's like, that is so interesting. And in that moment, but the roles are reversed because Daryl's the one with more power in this situation, and Negan kind of falls back and he's just kind of there, doesn't have a crew to back up because literally everyone there doesn't give a shit about him. So, but then like Maggie's like, you're right, Negan. I can't even tell you you're wrong because you are right. But the fact is, I'm pushing us so fast because we don't know what's ahead. Like, things can go wrong. So I am trying to get us through this quickly. So that's why I'm pushing so far. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not the Maggie that left 6 years ago. I'm a very different person. But there's still some part of that Maggie that's still here. And that's the only reason why you're alive right now. So basically get up and shut up and don't push me, Negan, because I will kill you. Because I think it's like there's that part of her, the part of Maggie that kind of went along with Rick's plan of just letting Negan live. Like, there's still that part of her. I think that's what she's talking about. Like, yes, it would be easy just to kill you, but it's just, there's that part of me that it's like, right, it's not going to bring Glenn back, but it's still like, it's a driving force there. So let's keep going. And then like the kid and C. Thomas Howell's character ended up, I always have to say, like, just ever since I learned his name, like, at a younger age, I was like, he's always been C. Thomas Howell to me. What's that movie? Was he actually the kid from that movie about the trucker? I know they did a reboot of it, because I know there was also a sequel of, wasn't it Jake Busey was in that, I believe? He was the bad guy in that. I forgot what that movie's called. It's like basically picking up I want to say, I know he was in the sequel because I think he played the older version of the character, but I think he was in the original movie too. I could be full of crap. Like I said, I know they rebooted it. I can't remember the name of the movie now. Regardless, it's just like ever since then, he's always been C. Thomas Howell to me. Like anytime I ever see him, it's like, there's C. Thomas Howell. So on and so forth. Yada, 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 right? Going on a huge tangent. But, regardless, putting all of that aside, they basically bailed, which the dude's like, I blame Negan. He's the one that scared him away. It's like, and they took like their rations as well as their ammo clips. So it's like, oh, that's cool. Cool. Couldn't leave anything for anybody because it's like, didn't want to take too much time. So it's quicker just to grab stuff and bail. So I don't know how they made it through because we do see like there are a whole bunch of walkers. Like, I guess they were escaping the storm and maybe they found the open passageway and that led there. So I'm like, part of me is like, did they get it? They on their way escaping? Because like that was the only way back. So they had to have snuck off, not unless they found like a different route to go. But there's a train blocking their path. They're trying to hold them off while it's like, all right, let's go off to the sides. Nope. Passageway is collapsed. I could not say that, sorry. And the door was jammed, so they're going above. Everybody go up. Well, except for Daryl, who chases after Dog. I think I saw it in the trailer. Do not quote me on this. I don't think Dog's going to make it through the season, which I'm like, no, please let Dog make it. Don't do this. Don't Shiva us. Please don't. That was heart-wrenching all on its own for both, Ezekiel as well as the audience. Like, please don't do that. Like, I hope Dog makes it. I pray he does. I don't think he will. That's going to suck so much ass, but last one going up is Maggie. I was like, I guess Negan was like, oh, I'm not stupid enough to make sure I'm the last one going up. I'm not going to let you go up before me. You already made it clear you're going to kill me. And so Maggie's struggling to get up, and I was like, oh, Negan's going to reach out and help her. And it's like, oh, no help. I was like, is he going to wait till the last second? And then all of a sudden he's peeking over the corner, and she's like, actually asking for help, Negan. And he's staring. I'm like, all right, you're gonna stand there for a while, but then you're going to reach out. Nope. Oh, there is only a little bit of the episode left, and he walks away, and she's kind of losing her grip. He's going to save her in the end. It's like, regardless of anything, he's probably going to, like, when we cut back to it in the next episode or whatever, he's going to be like, all right, I just had to get something so I can make sure you could grab one, get help from the others, something like that. I don't know. And he's like, what, you thought I was going to leave you to die? It's like, or maybe he'll even admit, I was tempted, but I decided not to. I don't know. I think Negan's going to come through in the end. Or maybe he'll just be the biggest piece of shit. I'm like, why would I help you? You're literally threatening to kill me. So the longer if I'm able to get... Well, because it's also like, right... Because he also knows, like, if he doesn't save Maggie, it's like, oh, the rest of the group ain't... He can't be like, oh, like, she just didn't make it. It's like, no, the rest of the group, given an opportunity, are going to kill me. They'll cave my skull in. If they can. So I'm sure he recognizes that. So it's like, he's going to save Maggie. He was just kind of like contemplating it. It's like, all right, I'm going to save you. So we'll see how ultimately that shakes up, how that plays out. But on the other side of the episode, we got our group of Princess, Yumiko, Ezekiel, and Eugene being questioned by what do they call themselves? The or are they the auditors? What was that? What they were calling themselves? Of like the Commonwealth. And so they're asking all these questions about education and stuff like that, which I love. Like, I was like, yo, Yumiko, did we know that she went to law school? But to be fair, she went to Oxford, then like Harvard. I'm like, yo, Yumiko. I mean, but to be fair, like, why would that ever come up? It's the apocalypse. Like, none of that really matters necessarily. So, obviously, we knew about Ezekiel and the zookeeper thing, but Princess, what was it? She worked at a music store. Maybe she brought that up last season. I definitely don't think it came up during the bonus episodes. I know we dived into like a little bit more about her parental situation a little bit, but all these personal questions about bowel movements and stuff like that. Zipco's and Yumiko's like, who would remember that? Hard cut to Eugene being like, between this year and this year, it was this. Between here and here, it was this. At the later part of 96, it was this. I'm like, yeah, but that's Eugene. Eugene has the mind that he has, so answering all these questions as honestly as possible. But I love it when it comes to like, oh, your community is like, oh, we don't have a community. Why'd you? I was trying to reach out to Stephanie, and yeah, my friends were worried, so we all made it seem like our group was bigger than it was. The common lie. I love it. This episode made me go, I love Princess. I love her so much. I was like, please don't let Princess die. Please let her make it to the end of this series, because I love it so much. She's like, I helped them out. They love me, so I stuck with them. I'm like, I love that. I had to rewind it because I love that so much. They love me, so here I am with them. And so also the whole money situation. She's like, okay, so I had this job, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, could you just skip to the end? And she's like, yeah, it was like the first money I ever got, so that's why she keeps it on her kind of as a reminder of like, oh yeah, this is the first bit of money I ever got. And be like, can I get my dollars back? And Home Dude's just looking. Obviously the whole thing with Ezekiel, hey, what about that thing like cancer or whatever? He's like, nah, it's a non-lethal thing or whatever. It's like, I've had it my entire life. Obviously lying because it might be one of those communities they find out like, oh, you're sick, you have cancer, they're more likely to kill you because it's like you're a hindrance, you're a drain on supplies type of thing. It has happened in a lot of facets of the Walking Dead continuity, whether it's video games, probably, I'm sure it's come up in the comics, the show, like stuff like that. People who are considered a drain on supplies usually end up getting it. Ezekiel like confronted the dude and be like, oh yeah, like you were a cop, and yeah, now all they had to do was give you like an orange suit, now your head's up your ass again and stuff like that. So it's like, wow, you went and started talking smack to the dude that's in control. Is he actually in control? I don't know. He might be one of their head people. Like in this facility, he might be the head honcho running things, but he probably even has his bosses that he has answers to do. I doubt he's like the main dude. But at least in this facility is. So it's a conversation of like, well, we need to get out of here. Princess and Yumiko on that page, and even Ezekiel is, except for Eugene, because he's like, right, Stephanie said that her people were very cautious. The fact of the matter is, we don't have, our people back home need us. So they need supplies. So like, if we can, like, Michonne, like, pushed people away for like 6 years. So it's like these people are they might be putting us through the ringer, they might be testing us, but if we succeed through this, maybe we can get some help. It's also, I'm sure, like the love bug of the whole Stephanie thing is kind of drawing him in. But other than that, when they hear about the reprogramming and stuff like that, it's not reprogramming, it was something else they called it. Reconditioning. It's like, okay, that seems scary. Then everybody sits back down, looks at Eugene. He's like, all right, we're going to get out of here. And I love we cut back to it and they're whispering a bunch of things up. Okay, princess. And she's smiling off at something. She's like, what? Like, because like the reason why things were muffled isn't just because, it's because she wasn't really listening. And it's like, I was like, what is she smiling at? And she's like, oh, I'm looking at these two. Like, oh yeah, they're flirting. It's like, wait, what? It's like this nonsense. It's like, they're like, wait, how do you know they were flirting? It's like, oh yeah, how do you know? Wait, you know their names? Oh yeah, you can tell them apart? You can't? It's like, and she's like, yeah, I'm very good at like picking up stuff about people and stuff like that. And she's like, yeah, these two are flirting, but they kind of don't want anyone to know because it's kind of on the down low. And then she's like, yeah, on our like ride here, I was listening. It's like this one particular person got hurt in their leg, so they favor another leg. Another one has like a bladder issue. That's why on the ride here, I kept being like, yo, like I need to go use the bathroom. That's the one who kind of hooked me up. And I think his name Garcia is the one with the weak bladder or whatever. And it's like she's picking up these little things. It's like, yo, princess. Oh, how could I forget what is legitimately my favorite part of the episode? It's just like home dude who runs the operation is just staring at them, and Princess turns around for a quick second. Then she turns around, gives him the deuces, and then goes kind of almost like, and kind of nods her head almost like, "Sup, dude?" I'm like, why are you doing that? I love you, Princess. I love you so much. That's amazing. I was like, she's so weird. I love it. I'm like, who does it? What's up with that? That was so good. So I was severely all about that. But yeah, like Princess is the one that's like, yeah, those guys, it's like they're not even looking at each other. She's like, yeah, but don't worry, like they're super, like that's their way of playing coy. They don't want anyone to know. So what they do is like, oh, when they shift change, like one like leaves, and then like 3 minutes, the other one's there. She's like, and they're going about an hour. She's like, I'm sure a good chunk of that's getting the suits off, and then like it's like, oh. You know, they take off their suits, and then Princess is like, oh. So, luckily they were able to escape, but before they could escape, Yumiko sees a picture. Her sister is looking for her sister's there. It's like, oh, like, if have you seen my sister? Because this is like all the missing people. It's a board of all those lost. So many people that were potentially never found. But it's like, oh yeah, like her sister's here. Like, was it, I don't know, because it's like, I think it was like Tomi. I don't know if that's like supposed to be like Tomi. Or is it supposed to be Tommy? I think it's probably Tomi. Because it could, like her sister's name could be like Hitomi. Like it could be something like that. So I just like, she's Yumiko and she's Miko for short. So, but it's like because of that, it's like I can't leave. I have to stay here. Like family she thought was gone. It's like no, I my sister's alive. Did not work out too well for Wes in Fear the Walking Dead. I hope it works out for her. Oh, that could be a nasty parallel we see in this. Maybe she gets a better like ending for her story rather than Wes did. You know, so. But that's why they're at least she's staying, so they have the opportunity to get out. But how this all plays out is going to be interesting. This is a part one. I will note that. So like, even though like even more like this is a two-parter, so that's why it kind of ends like so like abruptly like it does. I mean, stuff still can when it comes to the nature of the show. Like it ends off on cliffhangers, but this is ending off on even more of a cliffhanger because it's a two-parter. At least I assume. Like I know this was part one, but I don't think The Walking Dead's ever had like more than. I'm trying to think like I'm sure there probably have been two-parters before, but I'm like trying to think, is there anything I've ever watched that's had more than two parts? I can't quite think of. Most things are usually divided maybe into two parts. Regardless, I'm excited to have The Walking Dead back. I'm really interested to see how this all plays out. Obviously, this is the final season of the main show. There's still obviously the second/final season of like World Beyond, because that's limited. It's only supposed to be 2 seasons, plus little peeks to the future of Fear the Walking Dead, you know, after the fallout. I'm like, oh, I love that, like, I love that convention and stuff like that. It's like, oh boy, your boy, Victor Strand at it again. So that's going to be interesting. But regardless, I'm so excited to see ultimately how this plays out. We've got quite a long road of us. I do know that this season is going to be like 22 episodes, I believe, or is it 24? Something of that nature. It's like in the 20-something. So this is going to be much longer than previous seasons. So I'm assuming like the halfway point is going to be a little longer. Whereas normally the season's like divided evenly. Like episodes 1 through 8, part 1, part B or part 2 is like 9 through 16. But I'm curious because it's like I said, it's either 22 or 24 episodes. I can't remember. It's definitely 20-something. I want to say it might be 22. I know it might be 20. Regardless, I'm excited to see where this final season takes us. Like it is the final season, so I take it as a thing of like, man, nobody's safe. Like it's The Walking Dead, so there is no guarantee you're safe. But especially this being the final season, things could go sideways in multiple directions. You got the Commonwealth, you got the people who attacked Maggie's group, so. there's that, obviously, the ever-present threat of the Walkers, Alexandria being in the strife that it is, so it's definitely going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. I also should have talked about it earlier, too. I like the subtle changes they made to the opening. That was pretty dope, so, the opening title card. But, yeah, we'll ultimately have to wait and see where the next episode takes us with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Until next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.